Joining me now to talk about that news, plus some other technology news that has been hitting the headlines, we want to turn to Scott Kessler. He's the head of technology sector equity research at Standard & Poor Financial Services, and also, of course, Dominic here with me as well. Scott, before I get to this idea of Alibaba buying Yahoo, there was that news that crossed about Yahoo and ABC News coming together on news content gathering, and basically ABC News becoming almost a major provider, really, or the first provider of news for Yahoo. What do you make of that news?
Well, Betty, I think what that indicates is, look, I think ABC wants to get broader distribution online. Clearly, Yahoo can provide it, notwithstanding all the criticism the company has received over the last number of years. And Yahoo, frankly, gets more coverage, let's say, in terms of the news and providing that kind of information directly to its users. So it sounds to me like while this isn't going to necessarily move the needle much in terms of financials, it's probably a win-win for both of these partners.
Well, Scott, one of the things you talked about, what is going to move the needle? Because obviously Yahoo's gone through so many execution-type issues, so say many analysts, many of your colleagues at various shops all over Wall Street. What exactly is it going to take for Yahoo to move the needle, a new CEO or some kind of a new strategy here?
Well, I think you can look at Yahoo right now in two different ways. One is obviously thinking about traditionally the operations, right? What is going to drive revenues and profitability higher? And frankly, we think the company probably hit a soft patch in Q3, and this is not necessarily going to be a pretty period for Yahoo in terms of its financials. What a lot of folks, though, like myself, believe is that the financials really aren't primary here. What people are thinking about is what you guys have been reporting on, which is the possible strategic alternatives that the company will pursue. And honestly, Yahoo doesn't need a CEO to kind of move forward on some of those. You referenced Jack Ma. He's obviously a major player in what eventually happens to Yahoo. But frankly, we think the stock is notably undervalued right here, and our 12-month target price is $17.
What are the chances that an Alibaba could take over Yahoo, or the politics just too overwhelming?
Betty, I think whether it's the politics or, frankly, the price tag, Alibaba Group might have received a notable private market valuation recently, but the reality is in the marketplace that we've been talking about over the last number of weeks and months, capital is hard to come by. So for Jack Ma to be able to put together tens of billions of dollars to buy Yahoo, I think that would be a stretch. Whether or not he, as well as others, can come together and put together such a package, that's a different story, and we think that's a lot more likely than simply Alibaba stepping to the table with a big offer.
Hey, Scott, let's broaden it out a little bit. Technology is huge. Yahoo, just a very small slice of it. Are you seeing pockets of value within technology that other investors aren't seeing? Is it more in the large cap tech space? Is it more on small caps? Is it more semiconductors, or is it more hardware? Where are you finding value in technology today?
Well, there's a lot of value, frankly, across the sector right now. We have as many strong buy recommendations as we have had in some time. And frankly, our analysts are looking at companies day in and day out and searching for those opportunities. This is a really volatile market, so those present themselves pretty frequently. Where do we see opportunities? We see opportunities in semiconductors. We think maybe the bottom of the cycle has been hit, and a lot of stocks look pretty cheap and have some nice dividend yields. We look at areas like software, for example, where you see a company like Oracle, which is in the news, that we think is doing a lot. Frankly, there is a lot of opportunity there. In China, we just upgraded Baidu late Friday because we think a lot of the news flow has been so negative that the stock is really undervalued. So there are opportunities, but people have to be very targeted in how they implement those.
Well, just quickly, Scott, talking about value proposition, I mean, we had that story out, I think it was on Friday, where IBM surpassed Microsoft in the technology sector by market cap. What does that tell you?
Well, I think, Betty, what it says is a few things. First of all, if you look at IBM, the reason that the stock has outperformed pretty notably is because they've had a very kind of forward-looking model. It's hardware, software, and services. They pay a dividend. They've been very proactive in terms of shareholder orientation. And what it tells us is you need to be multifaceted and you need to be flexible. And oh, by the way, if you can be shareholder oriented, all the better. And IBM, we think, has done all of those things.
Scott, thank you. Really appreciate it. Scott Kessler at Standard & Poor.